Imagine this, you're sitting across the dinner table from him. The one everyone calls perfect. The man who never forgets your birthday. Who listens. Who never shouts. His eyes are kind, his voice soft, smiles placed with precision, and you know that people envy your marriage. But there's a weight in your chest. Because beneath all that perfection, deep in the midnight corners of your mind, you think about someone else. Sometimes it's a stranger in a cafe. Sometimes it's a reckless dream. Sometimes it's a faceless man who grabs you with words sharper than his hands. Why does the fantasy of infidelity crawl through your thoughts? Why does emotional cheating taste sweeter than marital comfort? You aren't alone. This isn't a confession. It's a confrontation between your psychology and your habits. The battlefield is trust, understanding, attraction, the silent brawl behind your every touch. Carl Jung would call this shadow work. Freud would whisper of unconscious desires and forbidden hunger trapped beneath daily routine. You wonder, is the problem him, or is it something twisted within me? The answer is a map of emotions and thinking errors. You're about to unfold that map. Are you ready? Here's the truth. Perfect is prison. You've been taught that marriage is about security and safety, but security can be suffocating when your spirit cries out for danger. You crave the electricity of risk, not just the dull hum of routine intimacy. The psychology behind your fantasy is ancient. Emotional cheating is the mind's rebellion against predictability. You want to break the habits that make you invisible. You want to feel alive. Your heart beats for the pulse of uncertainty. You crave the taste of adulterous risk, the ecstasy of being wanted by someone who doesn't know all your stories. Society won't tell you this. Trust is built on boredom. When understanding is absolute, mystery dies. Attraction thrives in the unknown. Your veins drink it in. You stare at your spouse and wonder why he doesn't ignite you. You ask yourself if you're damaged. You're not. You're daring. What you want is not chaos, it's meaning. The thrill of communication coded in secrecy. That silent hunger isn't shame, it's your biological heritage. Freud said we are split between our morals and our animal self. Jung reminded us that the shadow, the repressed secrets, will always fight for sunlight. That inner war is raging now. You'd never say it aloud. I want my marriage to feel dangerous. The world would shun you. Friends would call you foolish. Parents would tell you to count your blessings, keep your vows, avoid divorce. But you wish someone else understood the pain, the silent ache when you sense rejection behind his empty compliments. The uncertainty when you wear that dress and he doesn't notice. The misunderstanding when you share a dream and he says, "That's nice, dear." That real pain is sharper than adultery could ever be. You ache for intimacy flavored by risk. Think. Why does forbidden touch spark more confidence than the familiar kiss? Why does your mind wander on rainy nights, scrolling through memories of men who made you feel something wild? Relationships are built by communication, but what builds desire? It's not words. It's secrets, contradictions, knowing that someone could break you if you just let them. You don't want to cheat. You want to feel real. This is not a crisis. This is an awakening. Every woman faces this tension, between safety and desire. What side do you choose? You start noticing habits. His routines make you feel predictable, and you hate it. Breakfast is at 8. Sex is on Saturdays. Talk is about bills and weekend plans. The reality? Your emotions stagnate. You crave the chaos of a stolen glance, the heated argument that leaves you dizzy. You want to be understood through action, not duty. The psychology of attraction is built around novelty, not repetition. You want to be chased, not catered to. Communication is too polite. You want words that bruise, that provoke, that promise something dangerous. You want to be wanted for who you are when masks fall. You wonder if your confidence depends on his attention. But in the haze, you realize, confidence grows in the forbidden. That is why the fantasy of cheating is so bitterly sweet. Emotional cheating is not the fear, it's the longing. Adultery isn't about leaving, it's about escaping. Divorce is a black mirror, reflecting your secrets back so you can't hide. Some part of you wants to burn the bridge and see what's at the other side. But you stop yourself. You are not only your impulses. You are your wisdom, too. And you test your own limits every day. You can't ignore how much you need trust, even as you dream of breaking it. The paradox sits heavy in your mind. Psychological manipulation is not just something done by others, it's a force inside you. You play with boundaries. You want to see how far you can go without shattering what's sacred. Why? Because understanding is not enough. You need adventure. Your relationships feel numb when rules choke desire. You ask, is it me, or is it marriage itself? You crave the confidence to say what you feel before you act on it. And so you hold secrets even as you want intimacy. Infidelity fantasy is a signpost, not a destination. It's your mind begging for more. Emotional cheating is a message system, not a crime. If you listen closely, it's the truth about your personal growth. Nobody teaches this in family psychology. You're supposed to fear the urge, bury it deep, and trust that good habits save you from ruin. But your thinking keeps circling back. You want more. You want to be wanted, fully, dangerously, without apology. Is that a crime, or is it power? Pause. Breathe. Feel the tension between who you pretend to be and who you crave becoming. Your emotions don't obey polite conventions. They crash, raw and wild, against the boundaries you set every morning, smiling at breakfast, nodding at his schedule, pretending the chemistry never changed. Psychology insists women are emotional creatures. But you know it's more. You are volcanic. Attraction is a force you cannot compartmentalize. The nerves in your skin hunger for a charge. Marriage taught you to hide that hunger. Habits taught you to anesthetize it. You have become fluent in self-suppression, a master at silent longing. When you talk about love, you talk about sacrifice. But what you really want is presence, not performance. You wonder if your spouse sees you or just the shape of you. Communication becomes an echo chamber for his routine ambitions. Divorce would be a nuclear option. But can he feel your turbulent desires? Or is trust just a script you both read, night after night? You want more than rehearsed lines. You want the unscripted chaos of new intimacy, the rush of saying what shouldn't be said. The question lingers, are you still alive inside your relationship, or living in the shadow of your own absence? You replay old moments when attraction felt magnetic. Not polite, not nice, magnetic. Flashback to a stranger's gaze in a crowded bar, the intensity of two minds colliding without the baggage of shared history. You remember the burst of confidence, the unpredictable thinking, how the world shrank down to that one secret exchange. That moment wasn't about love. It was about possibility. The thrill of knowing nothing and wanting everything. Your marriage has become predictable, but your desires haven't. Womanhood, you realize, is a labyrinth of split emotions, loyalty and longing, trust and transgression. Science says habits kill novelty. Neuroscience shows that the brain craves reward in uncertainty. Even Freud, with all his symbols, knew that desire flourishes where rules dissolve. Your relationship has become a monument to routine. Attraction is now a secret language, spoken only inside your imagination. Communication becomes transactional, stripped of mystery. You ache to shatter that glass, scream, dance, run, risk. Infidelity fantasy isn't about betrayal. It's about resurrection. It's the rebellious child in every woman, begging for freedom. Do you dare listen to her? Real pain hides in the spaces between conversations. You want validation, but not the kind a spouse delivers on schedule. You want confusion. You want rejection, yes, even rejection, because uncertainty means possibility. Emotional cheating is often born in those silent voids. You seek someone who sees you differently, someone whose understanding isn't forged by years of expectation. The fantasy is not always sexual. Sometimes it's the thrill of a message at midnight, the charged thrill of being remembered by a body that isn't obligated. Sometimes it's the possibility of misunderstanding, the wild hope that someone else might decipher you, differently, fiercely. Trust feels fragile when you cannot be fully revealed. Every marriage is a theater, every spouse a character reading your cues. You grow restless in the role, hungry for a director who throws out the script. Psychology teaches that relationships depend on shared goals. But maybe your goals have shifted. Maybe your emotions demand chaos, and the structure of your life is the cage. Cheating, then, is not about sex, it's about escape. Escape from the static image of wife, mother, pillar. Escape into the unpredictable wilderness. Is that betrayal, or evolution? Are you wrong, or just more awake? You study yourself. Confidence is a mask you wear with him, with friends, even in solitude. But confidence without desire is just armor. You want more than the safety net of marriage. You want the fall. The adrenaline of emotional risk. Thinking errors become seductive, he'll never know. This is just a fantasy. Everyone wants more. Your psychology tells you to run. Your habits urge caution. But your emotions are louder. When communication breaks, fantasies become bridges. Every glance, every text exchanged with another, feeds your inner rebellion. You are not looking to destroy your relationship. You are looking to understand yourself. Adultery is a taboo, a monster haunting every conversation about family, trust, and desire. Society tells you to be grateful. But gratitude can strangle. You wonder how long you can breathe inside the marriage bubble before suffocating. Divorce isn't the answer, it's a warning. The real answer lies somewhere between self-discovery and radical honesty. Are you ready to take your mask off, even if he never sees your real face? You feel misunderstood, even though he tries. Maybe he's a perfect man, faithful, generous, protective, devoted to family. But devotion can be its own prison. You want someone who understands your contradictions, who isn't threatened by your wild side. You want communication that cuts, not soothes. You want attraction that dares you to risk your safe, constructed world. Sometimes you think about cheating just to be seen. Not as a wife, not as a caretaker, but as a woman alive with possibility. Emotional cheating becomes a silent protest, against routine, against invisibility, against the quiet violence of being perfectly loved but never truly known. Every relationship has cracks. You peer into them, searching for new light. Psychology tells you to communicate better, to build trust brick by brick. But your intuition screams for demolition, for chaos, for a leap into the unknown. Cheating, in fantasy, is not an act, it's an awakening. You're not trying to destroy your spouse. You're trying to rescue yourself from fading. Does that make you a traitor, or a survivor? You weigh your marriage against the gravity of your own inner world. What sustains you, routine or risk? The psychology is clear, attraction fades when innovation dies. Hans Selye said chronic stress poisons connection, but what about chronic boredom? You hear empty reassurances, he's a good man, you're lucky. But luck is not passion. Family is not fire. Sexuality needs danger, and danger cannot be scheduled. You play 100 silent games. You test boundaries through subtle dress codes, petulant silences, unexpected texts. Each move is a rebellion, a coded message to yourself. I am still here. I can still be desired. You wonder what wives do when desire burns out. You think about your mother, your friends, their strained laughter, their private disappointments. Emotional cheating isn't about lust. It's a search party for lost intimacy. You need to be discovered, not managed. There's a hunger gnawing at your bones. It wants sexual desire that isn't rehearsed, trust that doesn't feel like surveillance, communication that isn't legalese, attraction that is risky, not safe. Your habits are betraying you, they keep you in a loop of safety that your emotions despise. You want the drama, and the drama wants you. You ask yourself if you're broken. Why else would you want to cheat on a perfect man? It's so taboo. Adultery signals a crisis, a collapse of commitment. But what if you're just evolving? Human psychology is not a checklist. Freud argued that repression breeds neurosis, that unacknowledged sexual desire will find its voice in secrets. Jung described the shadow, a part of you hidden from yourself, hungry for risk, for forbidden. Is it wrong to want more? Thinking errors tell you to hide, to pretend you're satisfied. But confidence comes from owning your truth, even if it shakes the foundation of your marriage. Your emotions are valid. Your habits write your story. Communication is more than words, it's your body language, your silence, your secrets. You attract what you repress. Your spouse isn't your jailer, but you feel locked up all the same. Divorce is not the solution it seems, it's escape, not confrontation. Are you prepared to face your own shadow, wield your sexuality, risk understanding? Relationships falter when you lose sight of your appetite for unpredictability. Do you dare admit what you crave, to him, to yourself? You see other women living out your secret. The glance exchanged, the lingering embrace, the unsolicited compliment. Adultery is rarely impulsive, it's steps taken over time, micro-decisions, a gradual erosion of boundaries. Emotional cheating is a gateway to physical betrayal, communication becomes loaded, attraction amplifies in secrecy. Trust morphs into suspicion. Yet all of it is fueled by your need to feel significant, confident, irresistible. Not as a mother, not as a caregiver, a woman, dangerous, desired. You witness their liberation and envy it. Or fear it. You train yourself to analyze, not to act. Your psychology is your shield. Is it weakness, or the real habit of repression? You learn to manipulate, dress sharper, laugh louder, answer the texts with ambiguity. Most women won't admit this. They'd rather suffer in silence than stake their needs in the open. But you know the truth. You want someone who will challenge your comfort zone, who will shock you into life. The infidelity fantasy isn't just about sex, it's about self-rescue. Do you recognize your own habits, or do you let them suffocate your spirit? You fear what happens if you let go. Will your marriage survive the truth? Can your spouse handle the volcano under your surface? You test reality with questions. Would you be jealous if I flirted? Does it matter if I fantasize? His answers shape your confidence, fuel your emotional risk appetite. Psychology says projection is inevitable. What you accuse him of, you often hide within yourself. You push trust, stretch communication. If you break, will he leave? Or will he fight for the woman behind the wife? Divorce hovers, spectral, always an option. You remind yourself that relationships built on half-truths cannot thrive. Secrets are heavy. Attraction is heavier. Every forbidden message, every stolen thought, accumulates toward a tipping point. One day, you might act. Are you prepared for the fallout? Sexuality can be storm or surrender. Infidelity fantasy is the shelter before the storm. Is it safer to dream, or to confess? You learn that every taboo is an invitation. Every emotion a mirror, reflecting the woman you've always been, never shown. You begin to see the game for what it is, a tug-of-war between liberation and limitation. The psychology isn't just about you and him. It's gender, generations, culture, control. You fight your own thinking errors, question the rules you never wrote. Marriage equals safety, sexuality equals shame, attraction outside the marriage equals moral failure. You interrogate your own habits. You search for the habit of truth-telling. You realize that emotional cheating isn't about what he lacks. It's about where you refuse to go. Communication could save your marriage, but only if you drop the mask. Relationships cannot survive on autopilot. You feel the cost of silence, the grief of being unseen, the rage of suppressed sexuality. Adultery is not the crime, absence is. Emotional distance is the slow poison. You want to be trusted, wanted, understood, not as a role, but as a wild, unpredictable soul. Are you ready to risk his love for your own liberation? The answer is burning behind your eyes, pulsing in the dark. Let's linger in the raw honesty. You tell yourself it's just thoughts, fantasy can't hurt, right? But you feel the magnetic pull every time you imagine being elsewhere, being someone else, with someone else's hands. The infidelity fantasy becomes a ritual, something private you unwrap in quiet moments. Jung spoke of archetypes, of the wild woman buried beneath layers of domestic habit and social role. She claws upward toward daylight, every urge and taboo a breadcrumb in her hunt for authenticity. Can you contain her forever? If your marriage is built on rituals that numb, neither of you are truly living. No one talks about the guilt that comes with surviving on secrets. You smile, you love, you parent, all while this current buzzes beneath the skin. Communication turns brittle, every word is chosen, edited, erased. He feels the shift but can't name it. Or maybe he can but fears what change will bring. You know, deep in your psychology, that trust isn't only about not crossing lines. It's about fighting to stay curious about each other. You ache for him to ask about your real desires, for him to shock you back to life, to ask, who are you, truly, beneath the surface? Would you dare to answer? Would he dare to listen? You realize the betrayal began long before any actual cheating occurs. It started with unchecked assumptions, with emotional laziness posing as stability. Every time your needs went unspoken, every time his questions stopped at, "How was your day?" and never pierced your inner chaos, cracks widened. Trust is not just a vow, it's a living organism, dying without new nourishment. Freud said our unconscious is cunning, flooding us with desire when our conscious mind surrenders. Your fantasy is a semaphore, a distress signal, a code you can hardly decipher, but you keep sending it anyway. You want to be chosen again. Not by default, but deliberately, dangerously. Sexuality is rebellion, a fist raised against comfortable routine. The risk you crave isn't really about the other man. It's about smashing your own indifference, pulling yourself out of emotional sleepwalking. Emotional cheating is often dismissed by people who've settled, who see passion as adolescent. But you know, the wildness doesn't die. It waits. Thinking errors tell you to settle down. Your gut says, shake yourself awake. Will you obey? Inside every woman is the urge to run, for 1 hour, 1 night, 1 lifetime. To escape the tyranny of being reliably good, the habit of being grateful for less, the cycle of reassuring everyone you're fine. You crave drama, yes, but you also crave honesty. Confession, even if it explodes your home, is an act of courage. What would happen if you ripped the mask off? Would your marriage collapse, or be reinvented? Sometimes the infidelity fantasy isn't about him or the other man. It's about your hunger for revolution inside your own skin. Family dynamics cloud your decisions. You ask, what about the children, the mortgage, the generations of women who never dared to break free? Relationships are thick with guilt and heritage. You inherit habits, absorb silence, master the art of avoidance. But beneath all of it is the voice that says, I want more. Understanding yourself is a kind of cheating, on tradition, on expectation, on every law of emotional safety. Do you want to grow, or do you want to stay small forever? The mirror never lies. You look, and the woman looking back is angry, luminous, desperate to live. You test yourself again. What does freedom look like? It's not adultery, not really. Cheating is only a shadow play for deeper desire. It's about walking naked in your own truth, not apologizing for the wild pulse in your body. You seek the confidence to say exactly what you want and survive the fallout. Is your marriage a place where that's possible, or just another prison for your real voice? The choice isn't about him, or even trust. It's about what you're willing to risk for a life that is not filtered, not numb, not obedient. Habits are steel bars. Emotions are hammers. You either swing, or you settle. Relationships demand honesty, and when honesty slips, fantasies fill the void. Attraction relies on friction. Communication thrives on vulnerability. You already know the rules. The question is, will you break them? Or will you wait for some future you to look back and mourn the years she lived on the surface? Somewhere between loyalty and longing is the key to your real self. Cheating, perhaps, is just a symptom. The disease is forgetting you are alive. So you sit in the heavy darkness and imagine, what if you never act? What if the infidelity fantasy stays a secret, a private storm? The pain of rejection, the ache of being misunderstood, the constant push and pull between family duty and inner freedom, none of it will fade until you confront your truth. Your psychology is not your enemy. Your desire is not a disorder. Jung would ask you to dance with your shadow. Freud would tell you to give your urge a name. This isn't about villains or victims. It's about the end of pretending. Say what you want. Burn what you must. You owe yourself a life that's wild, honest, fully awake. One secret, one truth, one choice, yours.